Alrighty, guys. So today in this video, I'm just going to be talking about the Get My KPI origin story. Let you kind of know how this even all started, and maybe a little bit about where we plan to take this, and just any more information that I can use to help provide some value to you guys based on the origin story. Okay, so I have been in entrepreneurship for a good amount of time now. I originally started back in college with a buddy of mine, David. We built this brand. We want to do like artist management. And at the time in college, I thought it was going to be the area that I needed to go to get to the next level in life. But my parents were super convincing. They wanted me to go. They wanted me to go to college so bad. And then I ended up dropping out, right? I had a terrible time. I was talking with teachers, and none of them ran businesses. I knew from the jump early on that I wanted to be a businessman or, a businessman, really. I mean, I was 7 years old. I knew I wanted to be in business. So when I went to college, and I'm learning from people that never did anything in business, and obviously we have social media and the way the internet has connected people, you could get connected with millionaires that give you real world information rather than dealing with these books or these schools, and you're getting information from people that don't know what they're talking about. Okay, so during that period of being in college, I ended up dropping out, left, and never went back. Well, I did go back one brief period, but when I went home, we continued to try to do the artist management work. Didn't really build anything. And then me and my buddy Gabe got connected. We've been buddies for a very long time, since middle school. And we just started working on agency stuff together. We wanted to build a marketing agency. Fast forward, getting involved with Jeff Seckinger, Justin Saunders, Robbie Avabala, John Whiting. I found and invested into the mentors that could teach me more about business. A lot of it on credit too, money I didn't have, credit cards that I stacked up to pay for the education from these millionaires. But the one that really spoke to me the most is definitely, or was probably the most valuable for me, was definitely John Whiting's Bulletproof Entrepreneur. If any of you guys are, you guys don't know who John Whiting is, I certainly recommend looking him up and following along, because he's one of the smartest minds in business that I've personally have come across. Mistakes that I've made. Okay, I've made so many mistakes, failed so many times. It's literally been 5 years, 6 years, 7 years of just taking L's over and over and over again. I had wins too, of course, but definitely the losses definitely were overproduced than the wins. During John Whiting's mentorship, we really learned how to be logical and rational in our approach of making decisions. And we learned how to kind of handle our emotions, our feelings, our fears, our regrets, our anxieties, our angers, frustrations, infatuations. Literally, John has a tool that would help you kind of systemize your thought process so that you're not leaning too far towards the negative, but as well as not leaning too far towards the positive, right? Finding a nice balance between the two, okay? And John Whiting, like I said, I can dive, maybe I'll build some information around this topic. It definitely deserves hours to discuss, or more time than what I'm going to allocate towards this video, but it's definitely been a game-changing process just for my mindset. Now, for us to take action and to implement a system or process that is valuable and unlike others and innovative and quicker, more efficient, right? We have to do things that normal people don't do. So typically you're going to have to dive into ideas that are untraditional, unorthodox, that are not widely accepted because they're new, they're innovative, they're stretching the current narrative. Okay, it's not easy. John Whiting taught us the importance of tracking your KPIs in your high-ticket sales process. And I struggled with this so much, and it was such a practice that I really was not good at or disciplined at, that it literally took me years to get used to tracking KPIs, reading KPIs, understanding KPIs, the importance of KPIs, and why you don't even necessarily want to go into an offer or a business without tracking it. Yeah, you can get random stuff, you can do lucky stuff and be chaotic, but that could take 4 or 5 years to get lucky, 10 years. And he always preached this, and I knew this, and now it's just a fundamental way of thinking that I'm not even going to go into an effort without measuring it. Same thing with working out, right? If you're working out and you're not tracking your calories and you're eating unlimited carbs, unlimited fats, unlimited proteins, right? You might gain some muscle, but you also might gain some fat, or you're not going to get as shredded as you were, right? So measuring your proteins, your fats, your carbs is how you can generate results quicker. Okay, and that goes for pretty much everything. If you want to improve something, you have to measure it. Okay, that's how we get rockets to the moon. We are measuring our reality, and we're implementing things based off that measuring. Okay, if we were randomly putting engines together, that's how explosions happen, right? That's how people get hurt. That's how people make the wrong decision. That's how people fuck up. They fail. Okay, is because what they think is true may not actually be true, but then we're never getting to the truth because we don't have a system in place to measure it. All right. So the origin story for GetMyKPI started when I got to US Health Advisors. So in my efforts of building offers, products, and being an entrepreneur, I knew if I wanted to scale a sales team, that I would need to be able to track KPIs. But if I can't track my own KPIs, how am I going to be able to measure other people's KPIs? Okay. I went through the process of thinking, oh, it's not important to track. It's not important. You don't need to. It's not important. But ultimately, I failed every time I've gone up to try to do something, right? So, it's really difficult to argue with a millionaire and tell them that it's not important to do this, and they're telling you to do this. You're not doing it, but you're also not scaling or generating any real results. Okay, so, even in my times of not wanting to necessarily track my KPIs or thought it wasn't valuable or worth it, at the end of the day, I failed for 5 years. Right. So I was like, no more failing. Right. The pain's getting too strong. All right. The pain, I cannot deal with the bullshit that I'm putting myself through. I want to evolve. I want to be a better thinker. I want to be a better businessman. I want to be a better leader. Right. So obviously over the course of my mentorship, and this is why we pay $1,000 for mentors and education, was so that I can shift my thinking on this entirely. All right. When I got to US Health Advisors, it was a sales opportunity unlike anything I've ever seen before. And I'm still here to this day working US Health Advisors, selling our health insurance product. It is a high volume opportunity, high cash flowing opportunity, and one that we could build a sales team in. And as soon as I got here, I knew I wanted to be a sales team leader. I wanted to help people generate business. And I also wanted to measure my salespeople's businesses so that I can better audit them, better train them, and drive better results. And I knew it was going to be difficult. I knew it was definitely going to be difficult. But when I first got to my US Health Advisors in my first 13 weeks, what we're looking at right now is my KPI tracker. Okay, so getting back to the origin story here, through the KPI tracker, I was able to measure my outbound activities over month or day to, day over day to week over week. And I can measure how many appointments I was doing. Okay. And he always said that it was important. So even though I didn't necessarily know how to read the data or how to add new strategies or how to take the data and work with it, I was still practicing counting my appointments, my outbound outreach, my presentations, my closes. I still wanted to count them. And one of the best metaphors I've heard on tracking KPIs is one that John Whiting wrote or mentioned is you're looking at a scoreboard, okay? Now imagine your scoreboard only had the time on it, like or it had only one person, like you're in a basketball game. You have two teams playing against each other, and you have a scoreboard here with half the information or a quarter of the information, right? You just have the one team score, and you have the time left. Let's say you have one team score and time left, 2 minutes left. You don't know the quarter. You don't know how many points the other team has. You don't know how many fouls the other team has. You don't know what quarter, I think I already said what quarter it is. There's a bunch of things that is missing on the scoreboard that if we're about to draw up a play for our team, we want to make sure that we're drawing up the right play. We got the right tactics in, right? So what if we're up? What if what if we're on the team that has the score? What if we're up? Okay, do we if we're up, we're obviously going to make a conservative call. But what if our score is down? Okay, what if we're down in the score? That means we're not going to win the game, which means we have to implement an aggressive play, an aggressive call. Okay, what if we have too many fouls? All right, or what if it's the fourth quarter, or the third quarter, it's the first quarter, right? We won't be able to make a strong decision unless we have all the info from the scoreboard together, right? So now we know we're losing by 3 points. It's fourth quarter. There's 2 minutes left, and the other team has the ball. Okay, so we know now more about their scoreboard and where we're at in the play. We can make a better call. So this metaphor is very similar to your business and measuring your KPIs. And as an entrepreneur, when I went to John Whiting after paying him to join his group, and I would tell him about my sales, he would tell me and ask me, do you have it tracked? If I didn't have it tracked, to say, where's the next? I can't help you if you didn't track. Okay, we only have an hour on this call. You're not tracking your sales. I'm not going to know where in the sales process, if your offer is fucked up, if your booking process is fucked up, if your follow-up is fucked up, if your pitch is fucked up, your discovery is fucked up. Like, I won't know where you're fucking up if you're not putting the numbers into the tracker. And he would drill that into my head week after week after week after week. So when I got to US Health Advisors, I was like, I finally understand the importance of it. And I knew I wanted to build a sales team. So I knew if I wanted the sales guys and they wanted to help answer their questions, I knew that I would need to find a way to bring their data, measure it like I was taught to, and provide them actual real value for their sales and their sales effort moving forward. Now, the thing about this Excel sheet, okay, is that I could obviously copy paste this Excel sheet, give it to all my agents, and tell them they need to start tracking. Something they never heard for, KPIs, they've never considered this before. You know, am I realistically going to get them to track this lengthy ass Excel sheet? Probably not. Even though I did it for 3 months. All right, you have the first 13 weeks here on this tracker. So if you're at US Health Advisors watching this, you can see every day is filled out, which means during my first 13 weeks, I was practicing what I was preaching. Okay, and you can see I hit my 250, right? So June 17th was my F&B. I did 42,000 in June, and this is a mixture of runs too. And then here you can see July I did 47,000, and then August I did 92,000. All right, so and there's about 50K missing in here because during my last week as a 13-week agent, and then here we have another 36,000. So here I didn't actually track my last 2 weeks because I was so focused on hitting the 250, which I eventually did. All right, but now I have all this data. So now I can see, you know, based on my outbound activities, I made about 10,000 cold calls in August, and I made about almost 11,000, or I should say another 10,000 calls in July, which means if I have an agent, you know, and we look at their October and their cold calls are half of mine, maybe that's the reason why they're not generating business. Maybe it's a volume problem. Maybe we just see and check a look at their outbound activities and see that maybe you just need to do more. You need to get here an hour earlier, or you need to focus up and not be distracted during the day, get those calls up. Okay. Or text messages, right? Are they, you know, do you have an agent that's pulling only sales deals regularly? Or do you have an agent that's not pulling deals from text messages, you know, but are they sending seconds? So they're clearly spending money so we can see it, right? So we'll know where in the process. But the problem that I had, so back to the origin, right? The problem that I had, if I knew I was going to go and track this effort for my agents, that I would need a place that I can do it where I can aggregate all the data, right? So obviously this Excel sheet just is my data. And I can use this to talk about my sales process and how I handle the deals with my agents using this. For sure, I could do it. But if I wanted to measure their results and trust that they can measure it properly, and that I can come in and then just look at this data, you know, it was going to be a lengthy and exhausting process. We're a process that isn't realistic. Honestly, it's not even realistic that I'm going to sit there, trust that they're going to fill in the information enough to the point where it's consistent enough that I can now look at it and then give them proper advice over a 2-3 month process. It's not realistic that I'm going to trust that they're going to do it right as well, or that I should expect them to do it, especially if it's a new understanding and new education for them. I mean, if any new activity, new habit, new skill set takes time to get the form right, to get the experience right, to get the results right, it takes time. So I knew I would be most effective for my agents to help them scale as quickly as possible. That's why I took on the leadership, because I knew the pressure was going to be good. And if I could figure it out, it would be in my best interest as well, financially, you know, incentive wise, but as well as, you know, God wise. I'm a big believer in God as well. And I do my best to serve his people with the skills, the education, and the stuff that has been brought down to my life. I want to share with everybody. And that's part of the reason we're doing all this work, these videos, to give you guys a better understanding as to all the stuff that's going on. Okay. So actually, when I became a leader, was like, we need to find a way to take this Excel sheet and turn it into an application. That way, when I do have agents, we can either automate the process so we don't have to rely on agents manually doing it. And then 2, we can aggregate all agents' data in one spot. So if I have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 agents, I can take the cumulative of the data and have it in one central spot. And then I can filter based agents, or if I wanted to compare 2 agents to 1 agent to my, 2 to me, or, you know, whatever it is, I can have one quick dashboard. I can go and access all that information from everybody. Okay. But there's no tools out there like that. There is, you know, I have these Excel sheets. I have a fuck ton of Excel sheets. I'm not, you know, I don't want to do data entry. I'm not a I'm not a VA from the Philippines, right? I want to do other things, jump on sales calls or build marketing material or build new offers, new products. Right? I don't want to just be sitting doing data tracking all day. And I knew the amount of time it would take to maybe build an Excel sheet that could congruent, it would just take too much time. I mean, that's why we're building the application, honestly, it is taking a good amount of time, but it's a lot simpler, more effective, more seamless than the Excel sheets. And then expecting my agents to save the Excel sheet, to go in the Excel sheet, to share the Excel sheet with me. I mean, it's not even realistic. And I knew that going in. And that's how GetMyKPI was born, was knowing that. Now, there's another tracker here. I also want to share this too, because this is coming down the line. This is the whole point of, I mean, it's so cool that we've been able to work on these things. Essentially, also, so back when I was an agent, before I was becoming a leader, I went up to Will and we had a conversation about this. One, I thought this follow-up tracker was genius. I was like, whoever made this is a genius tool. So genius that I thought that either we took this tracker and we took this one and try to turn it into an application, or we take this one and turn it into an application. Either way, we went to turn one of these into an application because we knew it would provide value, not only just to my business, I knew it would provide value to my business, but also to provide value to other people's business, and especially the follow-up process, because if we can automate the follow-up process, they won't have to think so much about follow-up. I mean, how much you think about the clients and leads that we have to reach out to over the course of 2, 3, 4, 5 months? How many deals fall through the cracks? How many presentations did we do that we forgot to follow up on over 2, 3 weeks? Maybe we just called them once or twice, but we don't know that. We're just, I mean, for me specific, I'm projecting here. I'm always focused on the next deal. If they didn't close, then on to the next deal. But me and Will, I had a conversation with Will. I'm like, dude, we turn this into an application. We should find somebody that can turn this into an application, because both these ideas are great ideas that if it gets done, we might have a very viable option for people, not only to improve, but we could turn this into an opportunity itself as well. And that's what we're doing. So my buddy Tymeek, who I've known for a very long time. Okay. If you guys don't know who Tymeek is, a legend, absolute legend. Okay. Me and him started way back in the day, probably around, I don't know. He was probably like 14 or 15 and I was 18 maybe, or 19. I don't even know. But we started connecting, and I got into, like I said, mentorships, and I was doing a lot of things regarding sales, entrepreneurship. And I wanted to teach people, as I kind of am doing now, where I would just want to bring people in and offer value. That's what I put up on my Instagram, and Tymeek was one of the first people to take action on. And he lives in Poland. He was a young kid just looking to learn and get connected and do business-oriented things, just like I was. But I didn't have any resources, money, experience at the time, and he still took action, still believed. But I'm a hard worker. That's the other thing. I'm constantly working. I'm focused. I know exactly where I want to take my life. And there's not anybody in this world that can alter it without my first consideration. Like I'm clear. I know exactly where I'm going. If it doesn't align, I'm not doing it at all. And I want to share this with other people too, because it is powerful. It's changing my life being like this. And I want to do it more. I want to improve everything. I want to be more stern. I want to be more valuable. I want to be more strict. I want to be more disciplined, more principled in my efforts as I continue. But it was a learning process in the beginning, and Tymeek wanted to learn and wanted to work together. So we started creating offers together. We started building marketing material together. We started building systems, scaling, and trying to put them together. Ultimately, we've been working together for 4 or 5 years and have just worked on projects day to day that we would come up with, that we would take action on to try to bring to life. And ultimately we would fail. And then we were getting jobs, we were getting to work. We had to go work for other people, other entrepreneurs, to get our skill sets, our money up, because it was difficult. It's been a very difficult effort in entrepreneurship, which is great though, because obviously if it was easy, everyone would be doing it. So we like doing things that not everybody can do. All right, that's how we separate ourselves. So me and Tymeek have just grew our relationship from there. And I'm a ferocious reader, always educating myself. I'll invest in the mentors. That's easily one of my favorite things to spend money on, is education, because it's just absolutely changing my life. And Tymeek, very similar as well. I mean, this kid is very smart. He's always studying. He's always working on something. And it got to a point where I was telling him about my problems as a U.S. Health Advisor community leader. I was like, hey, we have an Excel sheet. And he understood, because we were working together, and I would share my resources with him, my mentorships with him, the education that I was consuming with him. He also started to understand the power of sales and the power of tracking KPIs and everything that we're working on. He knew like I knew the importance of it. But I had weaknesses that I needed help with, and same with him. He had weaknesses that he needs help with, and we kind of, as our efforts just continue to work and work and work, and we just continue to do it, eventually I ended up telling him about the problems that I was having. And I was telling him like, hey, like I need to find a developer that can either develop a KPI tracker that can help us track agent on activities and inbound activities, monies, costs. And we also need something that can take the thought process out of follow-up and be able to build something that can automate the follow-up process. All right. And then GetMyKPI was born. And we actually, about a year ago, so is when we started. So January 1st, when I became leader, December 31st is when me and him were talking about getting this project started. Because I remember saying, we need to find a developer, And Tommy comes up to me, he's like, hey, why don't you just let me do it? And I was like, okay, shit, why not? I don't know how else I was going to get it done. And then fast forward 10, 11 months later, get KPI as a full MVP. We are practicing it with our current members. We have a couple members now. It's a very low cost. We have AI that we are adding to it. And, we just literally are very excited and find great value in this that we just want to be able to share it with all the sales teams, everybody, anyone that's a salesperson. And then this is where we're at. So I just wanted to come on here and share a bit about, the origin story, about how we even got here in the first place. And as well as these trackers here where, I think everybody understands that tracking is important. And I think people understand that it's not easy to track. And it definitely isn't. I struggled over the last 4 or 5 years. It's taken me years to be able to build the consistency or discipline to do the tracking. But luckily, you don't have to design the Excel sheets. Luckily, you don't have to design the formulas. Luckily, you guys don't have to put it all together. That's what we're here to do for you. And what's great about the AI is you don't even have to be able to read the data. You simply can ask the AI to give you information on how you should read the data. Okay. But imagine you have an agent. If you're a leader and you care about your agents, it should hit you that if they're not doing it. It hits me. And especially with the bullshit that's going on. I'm not gonna say too much. Everyone knows how U.S. Health Advisor goes. I'm not speaking to anybody or an entrepreneurship business. There's up and downs, there's obstacles, right? And I know everybody means well, okay? Everybody means well, but sometimes things don't connect or align. It happens, disagreements happen, it's okay, all right? But what's not okay is having disagreements, having weaknesses, having losses, and not getting around it and implementing new changes to get over it and improve from it and drive better results, okay? That is the problem. And unfortunately, some of us just want to be able to make some good money and not sacrifice 80 hours a week to make that good money. And some of you know I'm in Bitcoin. Some of you guys know I talk about economics, and that was my first love, and I'm going to devote my career to it. For anyone that's had any conversation with me, Bitcoin is where I'm going to build out the rest of my career because of the value that it brings. It is, without question, going to be one of the most pivotal, world-changing technologies the world has ever seen. And if you don't see it, it's okay. I'm here to argue with anybody. I don't even want to talk about it. If you have questions about it, I'll answer it, but I don't even want to argue. I'm set on where I'm going. And I know down the line where the value is going to be, because people's rents are going up. People's food costs are going up. People's insurance premiums are going up. People's energy costs are going up. Your taxes are going up. Okay. Everything in this world, money-wise, is increasing. Cost-wise is increasing over time. That means the agents that are in this building, the ones that were here last year, are going to have to work probably just as hard because of the inflation of savings they're losing because of the destruction of the dollar that's occurring right now. So it is in our best interest to really fine-tune the sales process of U.S. Health Advisors and to get the people that are underperforming 5 to 10K a week and get them to 15 to 20K a week. Okay. And every leader in here has taken on the opportunity so that they can do that well. Okay. And some of us rather tell people about our feelings, or they'd rather share information that could not even be relevant or argue. I've gone through, I'm an agent myself. I've gone through it and no one measures anything. Everything is just based off what we think or feel, even though it could be farthest from the truth. And it's okay. It's not a problem. It's not a problem. It is what it is. I did that too. I'm not mad. I'm not upset about it. But what does upset me is us not leaning in to embrace our reality and to deal with it well, and rather maybe optimistically think things are not a problem as if they will go away. But that is just destructive. So, we're making this as affordable as possible, and we're putting out as much education and information on this as we can to give people, a place that they can learn without having to actually take away from their day. And to the people that are struggling 5 to 10K weeks or whatever, don't you want to scale up so you don't have to be here 80 hours a week? Don't you want to scale up so that you can work maybe 60 or 70 hours a week, but still have enough money to pay your rent and pay your bills and to pay your food, and maybe go do something every year once in a while? Or are we truly just going to slave away our efforts and just do everything chaotically and randomly and just put the prayers up to God and hope that he serves us well? I mean, whatever your strategy is, I wish the best and I hope it works. But for those that are struggling or at 5 to 10K, I want new efforts, new innovation, new ways of thinking about their sales business, new ways to track their business, new ways to measure their business. We're having, it's the cheapest it is right now, and we want to share this with as many people as we can so we can now get to really making those incremental changes that could provide 10, 20, 30, 40, 50% increases in our income. All measurable. So the proof will be in there too. You don't even have to wonder if we're lying or not. If it is not working, we'll be able to measure it. If it is working, we'll be able to measure it. So I do appreciate everybody's time. I do. And I love everybody. I really do. And I think I have room to improve. That's why we're building this, because when I was a leader, I didn't have anything like this. When I was helping my agents out, it was all just up for debate, honestly. I'm like, well, this worked for me, so it probably work for you, but I don't have a family. I don't have kids that I got to go on to. Some of my agents have kids and families, right? That's something to consider. That's something they can't control. That's something that they mean well and then they want to do well, but they shouldn't be punished or looked down upon because they have family members that they need to care for during the day or during the week, right? So that's why we built this. That is literally why we are building this, because everybody's different, and it could take 4 or 5 years to become a top producer, or it could take 1 to 2 years, right? But we'll never know unless we take action. We measure it and we reflect on it. And this is a tool to help you guys measure that exact process. Please join our WAP. That's the other thing. If you made it all the way to the end of this video, please join our WAP. Okay, we are, and I'll get you the link or whatever you need, but for my future agents, I already built out an entire library of information for help for when I was onboarding my agents. And now I'm getting a lot of that information for free just to help people with their business, to give them avenues of thinking for their business, new avenues to innovation or technology that can help them with their scaling process or their content or whatever it is they need help with. We're going to be building a lot of it in here. And just to give you guys an idea real quick as well, I'm going to be adding my social media outreach system in here. So if you wanted to do cold outreach on your Facebook or your LinkedIn, I'm going to be having it. I briefly sold this system to other people very briefly, but I'm giving it all away for free for you guys, because like I said, I want to really provide value based on everything that's been going on. I want to provide as much value as I can in a place that you guys can come and go as you please. No forcing, no obligation, no rules. If you find value in it and you consume it, you can do it. And if you have questions, you can let me know. All right, but that's it on the origin story. I appreciate everybody's time and see you in the next video.